Hello and welcome to the Golf One and Done video brought to you by PoolGenius at the Masters. My name is Stephen Andress, joined each and every week by the lead analyst over at PoolGenius, Jason Lisk. You can follow him on Twitter at Jason Lisk. In this week's episode, we are breaking down the course preview for Augusta National, letting you know the purse information. We will also share with you the three most popular picks for Golf One and Done pools at Augusta as projected by PoolGenius. Later on in this video, Jason and I will share with you our top three picks for Golf One and Done pools, along with our favorite long shot. We will finish things up with our conviction picks, and I'll share with you my entire outright golf betting card. Jason, hello to you, sir. The azaleas are in full bloom. The temperatures are warming. We are ready.
We are, and I apologize for my voice. It's been, a long week. I'm fighting through it. We're trying to battle, so we don't have to withdraw for the back injury, for the throat injury. But we're going to get through this show. We're going to find you hopefully some good picks for the Masters. It's a very key week, I think, in how things are shaping up based on what's just happened throughout the month of March and late February in one and done pools.
Well, you started the video, so if you WD now, you do not get a refund, okay? I'm just letting you know. We've started. Yep. All bets are final at this point, but it's appropriate because this is, you're not the only one coming into this week a little banged up. Colin Morikawa's banged up. Yep. Rory WD with a back issue a couple of weeks ago. Jake Knapp had an injury a couple of weeks ago. So I think this is the most wide open Masters we have seen in some time, at least in the 5 years I've been betting golf regularly and profitably, might I add. So I think this is a year where we might be able to have a larger pool of potential winners than maybe I would have considered in recent years, where it was like, okay, who can actually beat Scotty? Who can actually beat Rahm when he's in peak form? So I think we can have a little bit more of a discussion about that. And that brings in some great game theory discussions for us as well, from a golf one and done perspective. So Jason, let's kick off this video with the three most popular picks for Masters Golf One and Done pools as projected by PoolGenius. And the number one most popular pick right now appears to be Bryson DeChambeau as we record this on Monday afternoon. You are projecting Bryson to be above that key number that you've said you look for of 20%. You have Bryson at 20.9% popularity for Masters Golf One and Done pools this week. You tell me what is contributing to that projection based on what you've seen looking under the hood.
Well, mainly how people have picked in the recent years since we've had LIV, right? Since we've had the LIV golfers that are only eligible for one and dones in the majors. People know that if I'm going to use them, I have to use them at one of these four majors. And then if you're kind of planning out your season, okay, I've used this guy here, I've used this guy there. Where do you run out? Well, you run out if you don't use like Bryson or Rahm or one of the top couple LIV guys, you're going to run out. You're going to be taking like the 15th guy on your team and on your list in a signature event instead of one of the top three. And so I think that's the balancing act people have is I need to use them and save the other guys for somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too that at least as we record here on Monday afternoon, you have him number one. But based on your current projections of who you have as second most popular, I think there's room here by the time lineups lock, depending on what pool you're in. These two could flip-flop. Jon Rahm is number two, the other hot LIV golfer. He's at 17.6% popularity for Masters Golf One and Done pools as projected by PoolGenius. These two guys have been in great form. If you look at the, Data Golf profile pages, or if you look at the PoolGenius player profile pages, you will see guys who are ranked highly. You will see guys who are ball striking it well. The Data Golf strokes gain numbers are supposed to normalize, so it's an apples to apples comparison with the PGA Tour players. But I will at least say we've seen Bryson do well in the majors after making the transition to LIV and the logistics around that. We have not seen it yet with Jon Rahm, although last year at the Masters, it was really just a disastrous Thursday, and he played really well the other 3 days to finish T14. He is a past winner here, and frankly, he's been an amazing ball striker for the past couple of years on Live, if we trust these numbers. But, I still have to wonder just what that's worth. Like, what is good form on Live actually worth going into the first major of the year? I don't know, but at least with a course that has the strongest course history of not only any major, but maybe any event in golf one and done schedule every year, having a green jacket already carries a lot of weight for me, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, he has been, I think, playing relatively better coming in than he had in the past. He's been basically right there in every event. I know him and Bryson had their showdown recently, but Rahm's been right at the top of the leaderboard all spring long. So even compared to past years, I think he's back to maybe a slightly better form. He's had now 2 years. Yeah, he did not handle the return to Augusta. First year on Live, coming back as a defending champion, did not handle that well at all.
Yeah, T45.
Had a rough round last year to start it, when expectations were that he would bounce back, and he did not, at least on day one. He certainly was solid thereafter. So, yeah, that's part of why I have Bryson slightly higher, but I could see Rahm bubbling up over him. I also think people are more likely to – I'm just trying to read the tea leaves on how people will save those two versus use them. I think they're more likely to – I think the least likely spot for them to use either of those two is Bryson at the Open, which means they're going to want to use them more at here, the U.S. Open, the PGA. Versus I think Rahm will be more spread out and will be used at the Open more by the time we get there, if he's still playing well.
Yeah, very good point. I mean, I don't think anybody's running to play Bryson at the Open Championship on link style course. He hasn't fared well with that so far. He's in the fescue far too often. The other thing here I'll say is, whether it's going to wind up being in your pool Bryson number one or Rahm number two, I think I definitely agree with you that both of these guys should be well over 15% ownership. And now we have to have a game theory conversation here as well, because Rahm, it's not just what you're seeing and based on your other prognostications as well, like narrative based with the Bryson and the Open, for example. The betting market has made Jon Rahm like the bet du jour this week. I mean, he has surpassed everybody but Scotty on the odds board. He has gone under 10-1 at most sports books, which is kind of like a big threshold to cross. That means that the books are getting respected money. And it means that if you're betting Jon Rahm now, for most of us in the outright betting world for golf, we're getting at a point where you can't fit any other guys on your outright betting card if you're following good process, with Jon Rahm being less than 10-1, maybe a couple bombs on the card. But, we're at 9.5 to 1 here on Jon Rahm. It's basically him against the field, minus a couple bombs. So that is a clear indication to me that there is a strong appetite for Jon Rahm. And it's also a clear indication that a lot of the content world in golf that people might be consuming might be getting pounded about Jon Rahm and maybe using him in golf one and done as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt he's going to be popular, right? Either of them. How high is a question in each pool, but it would stun me if they're not the top two, because of the availability factor, not only now but future availability, which does bring what we're going to talk about, game theory on using the other guys, because you can get a good price percentage-wise where a win helps you dramatically if you can hit the right winner of a PGA player who if we didn't have this dynamic would be 10 to 12% owned, but might be 4 this week because of just those factors.
For sure. Number 3 most popular, as projected by PoolGenius for the Masters, is Scotty Scheffler at 8.1% popularity. The number 1 player in the world is being projected to be selected at more than or less than half as much as Rahm and Bryson, which is kind of nuts. If you would have told us that at the start of the year, we would have jumped at the opportunity to take Scotty Scheffler at the Masters at this ownership percentage, I would think. But we have to talk about what we've talked about with Scotty all season long. The ball striking is not at the level it was over the past couple of years when he was just dominating. It's just not. I've said it a few times. For those that may be just joining us this week for the Masters, I'll say it again. He's had as many tournaments this year with less than a stroke gain on approach per round than he had all of last season combined. It's actually more now. The ball striking's not there. He also hasn't played since the Players. His family had another child. I don't know if you want a high floor and you'll play the game theory, that's fine. But Scotty Scheffler's not on my, top tier of guys I think are going to win the Masters this year, Jason.
And he's the betting favorite. So
by default, really, but nobody's really betting him. His odds are getting longer as
they are getting longer. They are, because we're at what, 550?
Yeah,
which is in a lot of places. He was
3 a couple weeks ago.
400 under. What was he last year? I'd have to look back, but I feel like he might have been under 4, or close to 450, somewhere between 4 and 450. Rory was, I think, 550. So last year you had 2 guys. Rory was, because of his Players win, was in this range, but Scotty was still ahead of him. And now we have a different dynamic. So yeah, that number is dropping because, again, most of these are one-way markets, right? And so if they're not seeing Scotty action, they're going to lower that number to try to increase what they take in to offset some of what they're maybe getting on Rahm and Bryson and Xander, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, I can be swayed on game theory to just take a shot on Scotty here because we know even his A- game might be enough to win here. I can certainly have that conversation for sure. But man, there are a lot of trends telling you that Scotty Scheffler hasn't played well enough to win the Masters this year. I'll borrow one from Ryan Noonan, who mentioned this a couple days ago. You have to have over the past 4 events, your last 4 events coming into the Masters, there's a long streak of winners who have had a total of 18 strokes gained tee to green when you combine those last 4, and Scotty's just under that threshold, which is just crazy to think about. But he's not at an elite level right now with the ball striking, and despite him winning the Amex back in January. So keep that in mind. I feel like, just me personally, if I'm going to use Scotty Scheffler in this Masters with $4.3 million on the line, depending on what the Masters announces for the purse, it's game theory because it's not recent form for me. That's just where I'm at. It's game theory and course history at a place where course history matters a ton.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best golfer in the world at his peak. It's kind of like we were sitting here with UConn in the championship game when we wouldn't have seen that. It's like the guy with pedigree when it's on the line. Yeah, you're not getting in maybe with the best of him, but you're getting in with a pretty good golfer who can turn it on at any moment. And that's what you're playing is. Maybe I'm getting a little less popularity. I have a hard time picking his target on 8% because I do think there's some upward pressure from some guys below him that people might want to pick more. But I also have to respect that he's first in it's a $4.2 million event at least. We don't know the actual purse. They could raise it, by the way. That's what it was last year. But it's going to be somewhere in that range. It's going to be somewhere around 4.2 to the 4.5 we saw for the Players. You want to have your best guy in with the most money on the line, but you'd also like him to be playing better than he is. But then more people want to play him. So it's a double-edged sword. He's maybe a good shot if your entry's not doing great, but you still have Scotty and you want to take a stab where he's not going to be overly popular. This might be a good spot to use him as that.
For the new audience. For the new audience this week, Jason, for some context, I play in the $1.25 million golf one and done pool. One entry, my entry of integrity. Jason is a seasoned veteran golf one and done pool player. He will have multiple entries across multiple pools. So my question to you, Jason, for those of us watching who are like you, have multiple entries, will you be sprinkling Scotty at this popularity and at least one of those entries?
I won't be 0% Scotty. I will not be. I mean, because it could happen. So it could be on an entry that's trailing a little bit more, and fire him because I've used him on a couple. I know I used him at the Players. It was the same theory, right? He hadn't been playing well. Probably not 2. but we'll see. Probably not over 10% of the entries, so to speak, out of every 10. I'd probably be like 1 out of 10 or less. But yeah, I would use Scotty. I mean, for the reasons we talked about. I mean, it could bubble up and happen at any point, and it's probably your second or third most important event, especially when you consider like the cut risk here and like the range of outcomes.
Yeah, 100%. Don't forget there is a cut. It's not hard to make the cut here because the bottom 10 guys in the field are, past champions who are well past their prime, but there is a cut here, and people miss cuts. Cam Young missed a cut at the Masters. So one more piece of context on popularity before we move on. The winner of last year's biggest golf one and done pool in the country that had 3,700 entries in the pool. He hit 5 outrights. None of them had more than 12% popularity. So that upward trajectory of being able to move up the standings on guys on outrights that were not super chalky. There were, I think, a couple of those outrights that were double-digit popularity, I think, Jason, right? But none of them were more than 12%. So that's what you're talking about with guys like Rahm and Bryson projected 17, 20%. You can do it, but you better be right with the pool this big, right? With the purse this big.
Yeah, and the thing with those guys, for obviously, if one of them wins a major, it's going to be a more popular because they're going to be used at the majors heavily because they don't have to be used at the Memorial, etc. So if Bryson or Jon Rahm win a major this year, you will see a popular major winner. That's almost inevitable. Then the question is, you have to be on them if that happens because they'll bury you. If 20% of the pool has them and they win a major, you're in trouble. That's what happened with Bryson at the U.S. Open 2 years ago. Pretty much every entry that cashed probably had to have Bryson at the U.S. Open because, you were competing against so many entries that hit it that you were going to be in trouble. You can overcome a 1%. You can overcome like Jacob Bridgman for sure winning the Memorial, or even Cam Young winning the Players because I don't think he was that popular. You can overcome that if you didn't have them, but you probably aren't overcoming a 10 to 20% guy winning if you weren't on them in large pools where you need a really good score.
Final thought for me on popularity. I mentioned I have that one entry in the biggest golf one and done pool in the country. For people like me, I'm not using any one of these 3 guys. So let's get into the nitty gritty here because I think this is a wide open Masters with some guys who are in fantastic form who, based on these projections, will be at much lower popularity, which makes this a very exciting handicap for the 2026 Masters. We begin with our Masters course preview. The purse for this event is to be determined. Augusta usually announces it tournament week. This is being recorded Monday afternoon. We don't have it quite yet, but based on last year's purse, which was $21 million and $4.2 million to first place, I would assume that it's going to be at least that, if not slightly higher. We, of course, are at Augusta National Golf Club, 7,565 yards, par 72, 4 par 5s. That is where the champions get the majority of their scoring over the history of this event. So par 5 scoring will be important. Bent grass greens, lightning fast greens. Really the kind of, for lack of a better word, stereotype of playing the Masters is nobody putts well there because it's that hard on these greens. So scrambling becomes really important. Ball striking becomes really important to hit these greens, make pars when you can. Defending champion, of course, is Rory McIlroy. Past winners, working backwards, Scotty Scheffler, Jon Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Hideki Matsuyama, Dustin Johnson. That was the fall Masters, though, during COVID. Tiger Woods, Patrick Reed. The weather, Thursday and Friday, sunny in 70s. Saturday and Sunday, sunny in 80s. Let's go. Wind alert for Thursday. Maybe gusts up to 20 miles per hour, but I would call that like, a moderate wind advisory. The majority of this tournament looks picture perfect weather-wise. Can't wait to see the pines. Can't wait to see the azaleas and the manicured fairways and greens. It should be fantastic. One other note about past champions, those names I gave you were every year since 2018. I will at least note Jordan Spieth and Adam Scott, who are in decent form coming into this Masters. 2 more guys that have won a green jacket, have played well here in the past. Spieth won in 2015, Scott in 2013. At least two guys I couldn't eliminate right away from considerations this week, both from golf one and done and for betting purposes. So, Jason, let's get into the data grid here. Yeah. Let's pull up the favorites. Any initial thoughts for you just based on the course itself at Augusta National or this top tier of favorites here, starting with Scotty Scheffler?
I mean, I think I may dispute like some of the specific arrangements on this order, but I think if you went down about 15 names or so, you're going to get everybody, I think, it should be in consideration to win this thing. So I think that what you hear, it's a fascinating list though, because I think what you have is we're going to talk through course history. We're going to talk through you have the course history guys, you have the stars who may not be playing, who have question marks, Scheffler, McIlroy, right? Even the live guys, we assume coming in off live, but we haven't seen it against the same level of competition. And then you have guys who haven't done it here as much. Maybe they don't have much history. Maybe like Cam Young, they missed the cut last year, right? With a bad Friday. But who are the guys who are probably the best informed golfers, are a bunch of guys who haven't won here.
Yeah.
And they're near the top of the board. And then you have your veterans, your Justin Roses, your Patrick Reeds, who are course horses here at the Masters and have some success this year. So they kind of tick off all the boxes. So they're kind of lurking there as well.
For sure. I will tell you right now, for my considerations for one and done with that one entry I have, I did not look below, if we look at this data grid based on the odds that are showing here, I did not look below 40-1. Now, this is not the week to go long shot hunting in your golf one and done pools. There's too much money on the line. These guys near the top are favorites, like Jason said, either because of immense pedigree or fantastic form coming into this Masters tournament. So I agree with that. Let's do something a little different than what we do most weeks, Jason, where we typically just talk about the top three. Let's just go one by one here with our thoughts on who we like here. You know what? Let's do a draft. I liked your idea before. Let's do a draft. So let's kind of do 5 picks each, back and forth here. With a couple of bullet point nuggets on why we're picking them, and whether they are in your bucket of guys you think can win the Masters. And let's do anybody that's shorter than 40-1 for this exercise. So
it's just
it's your data grid, so you go first.
I mean, so I'm picking any of them like straight up to win it without thought on strategy. This is a tough one because, like you talked about, Scotty's form. I don't want the first pick in this draft. I will take it. I guess I'll take Scotty. Just because why? I mean, it's hard. You know, maybe having the baby. We now know why he didn't play Houston. Maybe he took some time to work on these irons. There's a lot of faith though. I guess I'll take Scotty, since he's top of the odds board. Now, does that mean I'd have him as my top one and done in a vacuum? Or would I rather save him for the Memorial or a place or the U.S. Open where I see the form a little more? I'd be tempted there. So in a vacuum, I'm drafting Scotty. In a one and done where I've got to save golfers, I'm less likely to do that. So if we're doing the latter, I'm waiting. Which way are we doing it?
We need the money this week. You know, you're picking a guy to try to
win. I would take Scotty if I feel like I need the money. Because I mean, even if you think he should be 800, I mean, that's
still going to be the favorite.
Right. I mean, I still, because I have question marks about Rahm. I pick Rahm second, but I have question marks about him. So same thing.
I have second pick. I would take Jon Rahm. At least on paper, the form looks immaculate.
Yeah.
But there's always that seed of doubt in the back of your head that it's on live. And there's low stakes. It's guaranteed money. Liv's fields have gotten worse this year with some defections. The Anthony Kim story is unbelievable. The comeback is unbelievable. And just so happy for him that he's gotten his life right. But like Anthony Kim's not winning a PGA Tour event right now. No. He's just not. So when it gets down to the final round on live and you only need to beat really like two amazing golfers and Bryson and Jon Rahm, you know, the list of guys that can win any week on Live is pretty small because there's not that much talent over there anymore. So that seed of doubt is always in my head with Jon Rahm, the seed of doubt that he hasn't put it together in a major from start to finish yet. He hasn't really contended since going to Live, but clearly, at least on paper, the numbers are elite enough where people who run a lot more sophisticated models than I do are putting a lot of money on him to move his odds to less than 10-1. And he has a green jacket already. So that carries a lot of weight for me, and he would be my second pick in this draft above Bryson DeChambeau, because I think Bryson's best rounds at the Masters over the past couple of years have been in softer conditions where there's been some rain. And the minute it's hardened up over the weekend, those amazing drainage systems below those greens, Masters have the best ones in the world. The minute it got harder to stick iron shots, he started to struggle a little bit. So that's why Rahm has a slight edge for me over Bryson.
Okay. You want number 3?
Yeah, I'll go next. I wouldn't pick Bryson number 3. I wouldn't pick Rory McIlroy at number 3.
You're going to take my next pick, I think.
I think so. We'll see. But I'm not picking Rory number 3 because of all the things that come with being the Masters champion, the monkey off his back. He was at the drive, chip, and putt last week. He is just embracing the entire experience of it. He hasn't played much coming into this year. He tweaked his back at the Arnold Palmer. So, like, he's nowhere near the form he was coming into the Masters last year when he won, plus now all the obligations. So I'm going Xander Schauffele next.
Yeah, that's who I would have taken.
Good. I like it. I'm glad we're in unison there. I thought right now there's still a book as we record with an 18-1. I think that's very fair on Xander Schauffele. He modeled well for me any way you go about it. His form is pretty solid here. He almost backdoored and won the Players, but T4 at the Valspar, 3rd place at the Players. He's gaining strokes in every category for 4 consecutive events coming into this Masters, and he has strong Augusta National course history here. 3 consecutive top 10 finishes here. Going back a little further, he had a T3 in 2021, a T2 in 2019. I think among all of these guys, I think a lot of them have similar ceilings, but from a one and done perspective, Jason, I think Xander probably has the highest floor of these favorites outside the top 3.
Yeah, I would have taken Xander 3rd. I would have taken him 4th had you taken DeChambeau or McIlroy. I would have taken him over definitely McIlroy. Here's what I'll say. Like, he hasn't won here, but if you sort by course history, he shows up near the top.
Mm-hmm.
So by recent form, he hasn't won, but he shows up near. So he's like the guy who has him and Ludwig are the two that both have played well here. Ludwig on a more limited basis and have played well for the most part over the last month, but haven't won here. And so that'll take me into 4. I get back to back. So I'm going to let McIlroy go, which is crazy. But I would take Bryson and Ludwig as my next 2.
Okay. All right.
Because for this, and we're seeing the odds, like you talked about Xander 1800, we're showing 1200. It's moved up in some of our books, and that's why you're seeing that plus 0.5%. Like, his odds have shortened on Xander. But I would take Ludwig. Can he put it together? I don't know. We've seen him kind of on Sunday this week, and at the Texas Open, we saw it. What was it at the? Was it the Arnold Palmer? Where was it? Where was it that Ludwig had the lead? Was it Genesis?
It was the Players.
Okay. I knew it was one of the big ones.
He had 3-shot lead going into the final round of the Players and then melted.
So those kind of things concern me, but the game's there. Like, and the Masters fit is there for Ludwig to also win. So those are the two. Like, it's crazy that I'm letting Rory go, but the back concerns, his price is twice as long as a year ago as a defending champ. Mm-hmm. Which tells you all you need to know about, like, what the market's doing. It's like concerned of these things. So the back injury and that he didn't play, and just that he got the monkey off his back. Now he's the Masters champ, all that stuff. It's hard to repeat here just because of everything comes with it. So
I think the last 2 guys to go back to back at the Masters were Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. That tells you all you need to know, really. I mean, Rory's in that group, obviously, career Grand Slam winner.
I make it happen. He's. I wouldn't let him slide too much further than this, but yeah, I would take Ludwig and Bryson. Over him
for sure. Okay, I'll go back to back here. I'll put Rory here at this point. I think we're at the point where he slid far enough. But we've already talked at length about our concerns with him. For what it's worth, though, not just the win last year, but I'm looking at his Masters history.
Right,
2nd place, 5th place, 5th place, 7th place, 10th place, 4th place, 8th place. Like it's well documented that he's done well at Augusta before finally winning last year. So after that, for me, is Cameron Young.
Yep.
I think Cameron Young has an amazing combination going into this Masters of not only recent form, but course history as well. Now, he missed the cut last year, but he was finding his game again. He went through a slump last year. He's starting to figure it out. He won the Players' Championship. He had a T3 at the Arnold Palmer before that, 2 of, if not the toughest events on the PGA Tour for the entire season. After finally breaking through at the Wyndham last year, his game is tailor-made for the Masters. You want guys who can crush it off the tee here. The fairways are wide. It is a really long course. There are par 4s on this course that are more than 500 yards long. You want bombers. Not only is Cameron Young long, but he's also straight as well, which is potentially another added weapon at Augusta National, where sometimes hitting the fairway isn't the entire equation. Sometimes it's hitting the proper side of the fairway to give you a better angle into a hole or a hole location. And sometimes if you're on the wrong side of the fairway at Augusta National, you have a really, really tough shot into that green. So I actually think it's not just the length for Cameron Young, but it's the above average accuracy off the tee. That's a great combination here. And before his breakthrough, before he had ever won a PGA Tour event, he had 2 top 10 finishes at the Masters. I think he is honestly in my elite tier of win contenders this week, Jason, for the Masters.
So I agree with you. I would have him. I think he's one worth discussing because you're going to hear history, right? You're going to hear the last winner to miss the cut the year before.
Yeah.
There's only been one in the last, I think, 16 years, and that was Patrick Reed in 18. He had missed the cut the year before that. Cam Young missed the cut last year. Now I'm looking at his scorecard because I had to remind myself what happened. Like I'll show you out here on the data grid. You can sort and see each round. So I'll pull it up. He had a terrible Friday. 79. He had been pretty good here for the previous 2 years. Shot a 67 on opening day in 23, 68 to close it. All rounds, solid rounds the year before in a tough year in 24, where very few were under par. So Cam Young had played well here for 2 years and was decent on day one, and he was actually even par on his round through 11 on that Friday. He melted down.
Amen corner.
He had a double at 12. He then came back and birdied, but then he got to 16 and he tripled 16, and he bogeyed the last 2 to close it out. So he had a rough hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so my thing is he's shown enough signs where it's not like he's been so good this spring and it was one bad afternoon for like half of a round where it went really bad. And so, that's in the back of your mind, but he had put together several strong rounds at Augusta in the previous 3 years.
If he tripled 16, that tells me like his wedges weren't figured out yet at that point for that par 3, or his short irons weren't figured out. That's been one of his strengths this year. And even since winning last year at the Wyndham, he's figured out his wedges. If he goes driver wedge on a lot of these holes, he's given himself birdie opportunities. So that doesn't concern me anymore with him. But you mentioned the last guy to win when he'd missed the cut at the Masters the previous year. Mm-hmm. Number one, he's got 2 other top 10s before that when he was in good form. So I'm not worried about that. He does have course history despite the missed cut last year. And if you want to draw that comparison to Patrick Reed, well, Patrick Reed may have missed the cut the year before, but coming into that Masters, his form was like Cam Young's. It was one of the best in recent form on the PGA Tour coming into that event. He had a T2 at the Valspar. He had an T7 at the Arnold Palmer. The ball striking on paper looked fantastic, if not for a couple of wobbly putting weeks. So I would argue Cam Young's form is even better than Patrick Reed's was the year he came into winning that Masters after missing the cut the year before. So, Cam Young is one of the 3 best players on the PGA Tour coming into this Masters when you combine recent form and his fit in his game for this course. So I honestly thought about taking him higher here. I honestly thought about picking him earlier. So he is absolutely on my short list here. Any other honorable mentions here, Jason, you want to talk about?
I mean, I've got several guys I would love to draft in this next tier that'll be on my list, right? And you talk about Young. Let me just say before I leave Young, game theory wise, also because he won the Players, he actually makes a lot of sense here to follow up if you haven't used him to basically double, see if he wins this one. Because most of the entries that won last year used Rory at the Masters, not the Players, weirdly enough, but he won both. And so this is one of those where you coming back with Cam Young here, if he wins it, is going to be a powerful thing because others will have, already got those points and you're catching them if they're ahead of you, if they used them at the Players. But the ones I like here, I like several. Matt Fitzpatrick is probably just a tick below Cameron Young on form. Has the course history in terms of solid play here. He hasn't had that amazing round. He hasn't had that. He hasn't had what Justin Rose did on day 1 last year, or what Rory did on days 2 and 3, or just those rounds that go out and win. And you can say that about a lot of the guys down here. So Matt Fitzpatrick will be there. You still have Rose, who won already this year and showed he can still win. Been a little inconsistent, but on his best day, he can contend here. Bobby Mack should have got it done, but that was a weird tournament at the Texas Open with the weather. He had the lead. He's a
lot of holes on Sunday.
Yes, but if he can come back from that, because that was a rough weekend, he's got the game. He's a lefty. We've seen lefties have success here.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be on my short list. And then Patrick Reed is just a guy who just knows how to play Augusta down there, would also be in consideration. Colin has dropped off my consideration list. That number, by the way, has dropped, right?
Yep.
Colin was 1,300 last year, 1,200, something like that. If you told me Colin's 1,200, and he won Pebble and he's played really well, you're like, why is that number? Well, the number is because we don't trust that his back's well, and even he's not making things sound great. So he's probably in a void for me, where that wouldn't have been the case a month ago here, because he does have good course history. His iron play typically plays well here, but I just have concerns about Colin. So I would have Reed on that list, on that short list: Rose, Bobby Mack, Fitzpatrick.
He hasn't played a full tournament since the Arnold Palmer Morikawa. He pulled out second hole of the Players. He was supposed to play last week in San Antonio, and he was a Tuesday withdrawal. Yeah. So if his back was fine, I think he would have wanted the tune-up before going into Augusta. That's pure speculation. I could be wrong about that, but I don't even know if he's going to play this week. I think there's still a chance he withdraws before this tournament if he's not healthy enough, or because it's the Masters, if he's not 100%, tries anyway and could tweak it or aggravate it and have to withdraw in the middle of the tournament. So I'm not touching Colin Morikawa for golf one and done purposes. There's just too much range of outcomes here. The highest of risks to go with, perhaps, I guess, the highest of rewards, but I think the risk is a lot stronger than the reward here with Colin Morikawa. I love that you mentioned Bobby Mack. I think he's real close to winning a major here. I don't know which one it's going to be, but you can't ignore just how well he's done in the past couple of majors we've seen. A second place at the U.S. Open with the best round of the day on Sunday in that tournament. The Open Championship, he's got a T7. Won the Scottish Open against a strong field as well. And his form's great, gaining across the board. Fourth place at the Players, T2 at Valero, like we mentioned last week. So, if you want a dark horse, maybe that's a pretty pretty strong dark horse there for sure. So let's go now, Jason, to the course history column, just to kind of show that to everybody. And obviously this is available to all PoolGenius subscribers throughout the golf season, not just for the Masters. So if you're in golf one and done pools and you haven't subscribed to PoolGenius yet, please do so. Check out the link in the description if you want to do that. But this updates as the week goes on with the latest popularity numbers before you have to make your picks on Thursday morning. Jason and his team update this by course history every year. They update it with recent form as well. And a couple of columns over there on the right side, you'll see that. But in terms of course history here, you have Ludvig Åberg. He's played here twice. He's top 10 in both. But his issue at the Masters has been closing on Sunday, just like it's been the past two events. He's been in contention. I always struggle with this, man, because we saw it for multiple years with guys like Cam Young and Scotty Scheffler. Like, I have no doubt that Ludvig Åberg is going to be incredible over the course of his career. I think he's going to win multiple majors, but I don't know when that breakthrough is going to be. And what concerns me most is over the past month here, when he's been in contention, you know, usually these elite players, their ball striking is pretty consistent. And it's the putter that kind of is flimsy. Like we saw that with Scotty Scheffler early in his career. It was just the putter that was holding him back. But every round, the ball striking was there. Ludvig has this Jekyll and Hyde thing going with his ball striking, where if you look on paper for the whole tournament, it looks pretty good. But if you go round by round into it, you'll see a guy who's like one of the best ball strikers in the field on one day and then below average the next day. And that's why he's not winning these tournaments. It just so happened that it was 2 Sundays where this happened, including at Valero last week and the Players, the tournament before that. So I don't really know how to quantify that other than if it was the putter and the short game, I'd be more likely to forgive it, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's a tough call.
It is tough.
Cause yeah, if he can fight through whatever that is, but yeah, it's,
and it was a 2-way miss too. It's not just like he's missing it to the left. Yeah. I watched a lot of his holes because I had money on him. I had an outright at the Valero. I had an outright on him at the Players. So maybe I'm just jaded at this point, but it was the 2-way miss. The first 5 holes, every miss was left, not just off the tee, but also with the irons as well. And then halfway through the round, now he's missing greens to the right, trying to overcompensate for everything. So he gets in these rounds where he's lost a little bit, and it's not just like a 1-way miss. It's a 2-way miss, which means he's not quite sure how to fix it mid-round.
Yep.
So I don't know. I feel like there's more risk with Ludvig from a betting perspective too. I think shorter than 20-1 on him is a little nuts compared to some of the other guys that are behind him and the more consistent ball striking we've seen from them. But again, it also wouldn't shock me if Ludvig wins this tournament. Any other just overall thoughts on course history guys here in this column?
I think it just goes to show how strong. When we say anybody can, it seems like a wide open up top, but there's probably a limited group that can win it. This is a lot of your top odds board are the guys who played well here. Yep. The only one up there is like Matt McCarty played 1 time last year, and he's
cross him off.
Right, and Davis Riley too. But other than that, these are guys that have played here multiple times now, with Ludvig being the one that's played the least, and they've done well. And so Cam Smith's the one way down there because his form on the LIV Tour just hasn't been there. But everybody else up there that's played multiple times is near the top of the odds board, and for a reason, because they've shown they can play well here.
I love seeing Xander there. Yeah. I have an outright ticket on Patrick Reed as well. I mean, I bet it a long time ago at 90-1 when he won those DP World Tour events. But I would say if his odds start with a 4 this week, then you can consider putting him on your outright card because the course history is so strong here. He's had elite finishes here even when he was on LIV, and now he's got to pick his schedule. And he's played awesome for what that's worth on a DP World Tour event. But with course history being so strong here,
the ones he won the guys that play on the tour were over there playing back in. He won Dubai.
Great point.
I mean, he was playing against fields that had some guys that are now playing on the tour, like that came over after that. So it's not like he was playing against A field that didn't have other guys in the
Open, or it wasn't, one of these very small events on the DP World Tour for sure. It was a premier event on the DP World Tour. That Dubai Desert Classic that he won. Rory was in the field. Nikolai Højgaard, Tyrrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood, Ryan Fox, Casey Jarvis, who's won 2 times on the DP World Tour.
I'm sure played it.
Yeah, Joaquin Niemann was in that as well. So if you look at the score of that field, it was a little lower than some PGA Tour events like the Cognizant, but the top of the board was just as strong as a bigger PGA Tour event. It's just the depth of the field wasn't as strong. Right. So the top of that field was stronger than a live event as well. Patrick Reed is very much a guy that can win the Masters this year, despite his odds and despite him flying a little bit under the radar, not having returned to the PGA Tour yet. Only other guy I would mention here in terms of course history that got my attention was Hideki Matsuyama. Has a green jacket. We talked a lot this year already on this show about our concerns with him being inaccurate off the tee. That is mitigated here with it being some of the widest fairways. There really is no rough at Augusta. It goes, from wide fairways to pine straw. So that is mitigated. However, I will say that his distance off the tee is still potentially an issue here. He hits long irons and woods extremely well. Don't get me wrong, but it's still a disadvantage when he's doing that. And some of the bombers out here are hitting mid to short irons into the same holes. So I would think this would have to turn into like really bad weather and short game prowess having a larger weight than ball striking. And the weather's so good here. It's just, I was on Hideki early. I'm not as hot on him now, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how you felt because he was the one we hadn't talked about who certainly has shown he can jump up and win this event, but has been inconsistent here in terms of high-end performances. He's made the cut. He's going to play decently here because he knows it. But, yeah, I am probably not going to have any Hideki would be my guess. He'd probably be where I got to make choices on who to include, and he's probably below the cut line for me.
Yeah, I think you just want guys who are well above average in driving distance here. When I'm modeling this tournament, I'm putting 20% on driving distance and at least 20% on strokes gained on approach. So Hideki falls well behind in that driving distance category for sure. So that's where I'm at on that. Okay, just briefly, let's look at the top 3 on recent form, and we'll transition into our top 3 picks here for the Masters, Jason. Cameron Young at the top there. What you're seeing here, by the way, is an entry for Jason, who's already used Cameron Young, so it'll automatically cross it off for you. It's the power of this PoolGenius Golf One and Done product, and the rankings that go into that as well, taking into account who you've used, who you might need to save for later on. So just to put some context on that, but recent form, Cam Young, Matt Fitzpatrick, Robert McIntyre, Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg makes a ton of sense to me. They've been on that leaderboard for all the big PGA Tour events over the past 4 to 6 weeks. So pretty solid there as well. Any thoughts there before we move on?
Well, the main thought I want to talk about, because you'll hear people say, oh, it's X. I forget the numbers. X of the last however many Masters winners played a tournament in the week or 2 before, right? Mm-hmm. And we've got lots of guys here who haven't played since the Players. Or they haven't Fitzpatrick since the Valspar. Several of them skipped Texas, right?
Yeah.
So we really haven't. A lot of these guys haven't been playing over the last couple of weeks, at least in tournaments. We only had a handful of the big names: McIntyre, Fleetwood, Oberg showed up to Texas Open in San Antonio. So what do you make of that? Because I'll tell you what I make. I think those are. I think there's probably some meaning to it in the sense of you want to be playing well and maintaining form, but the PGA schedule's changed, and they really had a long stretch of signature events that ended at the Players, and a lot of these guys took time off.
Yeah,
and maybe they didn't think there was a natural fit. Like Scotty would have played Houston, he had a baby, right, and some other things happened, and so. And then we had the guys with the back injuries. So they weren't going to play a non-signature event if they didn't have to. And so I kind of view it like as a split. I think the schedules dictated this because a decade ago we might have had a World Golf Championship event 2 weeks before the Masters that everybody was playing in, and it's just not as common now. These pros aren't dying to go play these events that are in the 2 weeks before the Masters starts.
Yeah. Here's how I feel about it. Given the context of preparing for the Masters and what you're allowed to bring on the course in terms of like study notes or course maps or greens map, like, you can't do a lot of that based on the rules of the tournament. So, for a guy like Bryson who takes copious notes, he had to learn all of that and have it in memory when he's out there playing in the tournament, having his caddy remember. So there's a lot. That's why course history matters so much at the Masters. The more you play the course, the more you remember the nuances of each individual hole, each individual iron shot, where you need to hit the putts because there's so much undulation on these greens, where you can't leave a chip or it's going to go totally too far for you to get up and down. All these little things add up. So for me, I have no issues with a guy like Cameron Young, for example, who won the Players and hasn't played since, because that tells me he probably got to Augusta early and is putting in extra reps on the course just to figure out a plan and map out where they need to put the ball in every single shot and remind themselves what matters there. That to me is actually, people can disagree with me and I would respect their opinion because it's a fair take either way, whether you want to play the week or two before and just stay sharp, or if you want to go to an Augusta and get some practice rounds in and do some further study about the course. I want to know as much about Augusta and commit as much to memory about that course as I possibly can until I tee off for real. So I'm fine with that, Jason.
Okay.
With the exception of if you're battling an injury, right? Then I want to see you being back to being sharp again. So Rory and Morikawa would fall into that category. All right, Jason, are you ready to get to our top 3 picks for golf one and done? You, sir, we got to do it master style. All right. 4, please. Now playing Jason Lisk.
So I earlier drafted Scotty 1, but I would probably have him like 4th on my card of using golfers because I also want to use him at the U.S. Open, where I think I'm going to give him time to get better, the Memorial. And so I'm probably like, he's a slight save, but a use in some cases here. So I'm going to leave him outside my top 3, even though I would draft him first overall if it was just win this week. So this is where it gets interesting. You drafted Rahm. Rahm's going to be really popular. I'm going to bifurcate it. If my entry's doing pretty well, I might be taking Rahm this week. Like if I'm near the money, I'm probably taking Rahm and just going with it, right? And I'm just going to give that a shot. But then I'm going to give you the ones I'm taking if I'm not, which is the majority of them at this point. Certainly need to make a move to get in the money. I'm looking. You mentioned Cam Young. If I haven't used Young, I think Young's a great picker. Fitzpatrick for the exact same reasons. He's done well at some of these signature events. He won the Valspar. People have used him. If I haven't, I want to come back over with both because I think they're going to be sub 5%. There's no way they're going to get a lot of steam because they're not top 5 on the odds board, and the live guys are going to draw popularity. And so those 2 would be on my short list. Young, Fitzpatrick, and I would say for my 3rd, and I said Rahm. Okay, so we'll just go with that. I think that's a good top 3, and I'm going to sprinkle the other guys we drafted and talked about because I'm going to be I'll probably have a Patrick Reed. I will have, all those guys.
I love it. For me, I like when we get to these big purse events, Jason, and we have some agreement. Now, the smaller purse events where we're taking some shots, throwing some darts because it doesn't hurt you as much with only, $1.7 million going to the winner. Like let's give out all the long shots and leverage plays, etc. This is too important. So the fact that you handicap this tournament and we have a lot of crossover makes me feel really good. I am caveating my top 3 with the Jon Rahm thing as well. Exactly what you just said. That percentage of popularity is enough for me to maybe take my shots elsewhere. And it's mostly because I can't with 100% certainty say he's in elite form right now because he's on live. Until I see him figure out the transition from playing on live to coming back and contending in majors, I will die on that hill. And I might pay for it this week. I might. But combine that with the popularity, and now I want to play some game theory. So Cam Young, absolutely in my top 3. Xander Schauffele, absolutely in my top 3. Matt Fitzpatrick, absolutely in my top 3. You cannot knock any one of these guys in the form they've had coming into this. I would argue that Xander Schauffele obviously has the best form in majors. So I would say of these top 3, he would probably be the safest. But I think just if you're chasing ceilings here and who can have the best A+ game out of this list of contenders, I think Cam Young has that ceiling. I mean, he already won at the Players at a course I would argue is not as good of a fit for his game as Augusta National is. And we've already seen him top 10 twice here before he's ever won a PGA Tour event. He is in the absolute prime of his career. I think Cam Young would be the guy of these 3 I would use. All these guys modeled well for me, obviously. The only hole I could really shoot into Matt Fitzpatrick was that there were times where the really long par 4s, like the 500-yard par 4s, I think there was the one stat area where he wasn't doing quite as well with that. And his driving distance isn't elite either. Like, it's good. It's a little above average. It's accurate as well. He's not as long as Jon Rahm and Cam Young and, the Marco Penges and the Rory McIlroys of the world. So a little bit of a knock on Fitzpatrick. And maybe that's why to this point he's had a little bit of trouble contending here, but surely the best form of his career. My favorite long shot pick, if you want to go pure contrarian in golf one and done pools for the Masters this week, that would be Patrick Reed for 2 reasons. Number one, you can't play him literally anywhere else the entire season. He's at the moment not qualified for any of the other 3 majors. He plays on the DP World Tour, so he's not playing on the PGA Tour events this year. I guess if he does well enough at the Masters, he'll qualify for another major this year, but we don't know that. So if you want to go pure contrarian with a guy with amazing course history, former champion, played fantastic to this point this year based on what we can see with his DP World Tour events. Last 3 years, 3rd place, 12th place, and 4th place at the Masters. And we already mentioned that how the event he won in Dubai had a lot of strong PGA Tour talent on it, including Rory McIlroy and Tommy Fleetwood, as well as his former live golfers in Tyrrell Hatton and Joaquin Niemann. So the favorite long shot for me for the Masters this year is Patrick Reed. And if you can get 40-1 or better on him, I would put him on the outright card as well. Jason, do you have a favorite long shot?
I don't necessarily believe in them winning, but I might mix Akshay in as a young guy who's now in his 3rd, a lefty, as like a top 5 to top 10 more rather than an outright winner. I think Akshay would be the guy down the board that I would take to jump up and do something. We saw him win at the Arnold Palmer. So that shows his class and quality when he's on top. And I think, he's going to grow into Augusta. This may not be the year yet, but maybe it's the year he kind of announces his presence. So he would be one I would look at to place, but not win it outright.
I love it. Mike, go ahead.
Well, I was going to talk about tomorrow and what else we got coming, buddy. You got something else on today's episode, and then we can tease.
Do it. Give us a little tease before we get to our conviction plays.
Because here's the thing, Masters, this is a major, so one and dones. But not only do we have one and dones, we have a majors product that helps you in your other pools. Tiers. Do you have to pick a bunch of golfers? Do you have to pick from a group of golfers? Or do you play in these contests just for the Masters? We have a product, and we're going to have a video tomorrow for that. Steven's going to join me. We're going to walk through, because we talked about the top favorites, but guess what? In those contests, you have to pick some of these guys. We're going to have to make a pick from tier 5, the guys that are 40 golfers in, and you're going to have one that makes the cut, because that's what it takes to win some of those pools. Is your 5th golfer has to make the cut or you're in trouble. So we're going to break all that down tomorrow. So check back on our our Masters episode on tiers picks for Masters pools.
Yeah, I had some honorable mention long shots written down. I'm saving them for that show, Jason. You got to come back and find the honorable mention long shots, because there's some guys that actually modeled out really well for me, like top 10 good. Again, not sure they're going to win the Masters, but for tiers purposes, for other pool format purposes, could fit really well. I also want to mention, just for the fantastic audience that made it this far in the video for us, my golf outright card for this week. This is to win 30 units. If any one of these guys wins the Masters, the total cost to bet all these golfers as we record right now is a little less than 4 units. Matt Fitzpatrick, 25-1. Cameron Young, 25-1, 24-1 is fine. I had some long shot futures as well built into this. At current prices, I would bet Patrick Reed at 40-1, Akshay Bhatia between 60 and 70-1. And then just for fun, if you want a real long shot, Marco Penge at 140-1. I don't think he's going to win, but I think that's a really good price on him. I think he should be sub 100-1 based on his game and his ball striking and how long he is off the tee. So if you also are betting golf this week, do so at our fantastic new partner over at Novig. You can use the promo code POOL and use some site credit to bet the Masters this week. Again, use the promo code POOL, bet 5, and then they will put some money into your account. Novig is a fully legal sports predictions market. It's available in more than 35 states. So go check it out. Go shop the prices. And again, get that first trade of at least $5 into your account. And if you use that promo code POOL at sign up and at deposit, you'll get some extra money in your account to use on the Masters or any other sport you want as well. All right, Jason, time to give our conviction picks for the Masters. Shouldn't be a surprise if you watched earlier in the video. Cameron Young is my call to win the Masters this season. I think it all is lining up for him. The recent form is so strong. He has enough course history for me. I think he's ready. I think he's going to be there on Sunday. Whether the mental game will be there when all the pressure in the world to have a career-defining moment will be too much for him, or whether he will rise up to it, I don't know. You don't know till you get into that moment at the Masters, but he just did it at the Players at a course that I didn't think was as good of a fit for him as the Masters, with so much water in play. Yep. Cameron Young is my conviction pick to win the Masters, and I will be using him in my golf one and done pool. How about you?
And I'm going to go, I listed 3 guys and I forgot to list this guy, and you mentioned him. He was in your top 3 and he should have been in mine, but my top 3 is really like a top 4 or 5.
Sure.
Xander. I think he's right below him, but just how he's played, I think he's back to where he was when he won 2 majors. I think he's flying under the radar enough. He would be the guy that fits like everything I would want with a one and done pick. Kind of like gives you great equity against these really popular live guys. Has just as good a chance, and I think it's just a fantastic pick. The way he's looking and trending upward before he gets too popular. I think this is a week to grab him.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him, because I gave my card and some long shots and whatnot. Really, the anchor of my card is Cam Young and Matt Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. And if you don't think any of the other guys that I mentioned lower than that can win the Masters, there's still enough room for you to go out, find some odds boosts and whatnot, and just have a 3-man card of Xander, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Cameron Young and call it a week. And I think that's a really strong 3-man card for this particular Masters for this week. So if you got bonus bets sitting in the account, like, get creative, do what you got to do. This is the week where you get all kinds of promotions for an outright card. But I'm with you, Jason. I think those are my top 2 based on game theory, popularity, recent form. Those two, of course, history, of course, for the Masters. I love those two for us, for Xander and for Cameron Young. Let's go get it, man. Let's go bag ourselves a green jacket and more than $4 million for our golf one and done pools. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. You guys have been great all season long. For the new audience that is just joining us, if you found any information in this video helpful, do us a small favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know in the comments who you are picking for Masters Golf one and done pools this week. And go check out that link in the description as well to give PoolGenius a shot. Try it out this week for the Masters. And I'm promising you, it will help you make smarter decisions, not only in your Masters pools, but other pools you play across all the different sports throughout the calendar year. Thank you so much again. For Jason Lisk, I'm Stephen Andress. Best of luck at the Masters.